Welcome back to another episode of Cape Ann Today. I am speaking to David Field, who is the Community Development Director for the City of Gloucester. And we are talking about community participation in the city's new comprehensive planning initiative. Hi, David. How are you?
Hi, I'm doing well, Heather. Thanks for having me.
Good, good. So first off, I know there's been a lot of conversation about this CPI during the election season, but in your words, could you describe what the comprehensive planning initiative is?
Sure. So the comprehensive plan or comprehensive planning initiative is a 10-year plan for basically the policy guiding document for the city going forward. So it encompasses everything from looking at housing, transportation, open space in the city, arts and culture, sustainability. It runs the full gamut of most of the work that we do as a city, and should really touch everybody's daily life once it gets to the implementation phase. So the last time we did a comprehensive plan was the year 2000. I think it actually came out in 2001. That plan's called Plan 2000. So this is a redraft of that plan. That was about, well, over 20 years ago now, so we're a little bit beyond our 10-year time horizon. But that's okay. We're updating now, and we're in the process. We've completed phase one of the four-phase plan so far. Phase one was an existing conditions report that went through and really looked at the city from a quantitative perspective. So it's a lot of numbers, a lot of statistics for demographics and things like that. That information can all be found on the project website, which you can access via the city's homepage. So right at the top of the homepage, there's a banner. It says comprehensive plan. Click on that. It'll take you right to the project page. You can look up all the information about the existing conditions report. Now we're in phase two, which is more of the qualitative research phase. So what we're looking for phase two is broad public engagement and public input. So a lot of plans and policy documents, you have the number side of things, but then you have what do folks actually want to see when your opinion is given. So we're out there in the community. We've been doing a lot of tabling events. We've been hosting small meetings in some of the wards. We have a public survey out, which is available on the project website as well. There's also a crowd map, which allows you to spatially pick pinpoints on a map. You see a map of Gloucester, you can put a pin in and type in a response to say, I'd love to see a pocket park here. I'd love, more parking downtown. I'd love less parking downtown, whatever it may be. And we're looking for a broad spectrum. So all opinions are valid. And we're really just looking to get the word out and get feedback during phase two.
Okay, so people, I'm just going to repeat this. People can do this online, or they can find you at one of these meetings
Absolutely.
at sitting behind a table at an event. Tell us about the meetings and the events. Like what do the meetings look like? Where are they specifically? And if somebody wants to go to the next one, how do they do that?
Sure. So on Monday night, there was a meeting in the box, I believe, recorded at your studio. So if anybody wants to watch that video, that's pretty much the process where there's a facilitator and a scribe running a small group meeting, going through a list of prescribed questions. So this tool, what we're calling is a meeting in a box. So effectively, you take the tool as a small group, whether it's volunteers, friends, neighbors, whomever you want to gather. We recommend group size to be about 4 to 8 people, but you can do multiple groups in one room. Say you have a large room and 20 people show up, you can break out into smaller round tables, each with their own facilitator or scribe. We've been running them in different public facilities throughout the city. So Monday we were at West Parish. Last night, Tuesday night, we were at Plum Cove. We had a small group do a meeting in the box there. January 3rd, we'll be in East Gloucester at Gloucester Stage. The 4th, we will be in Magnolia Library. And then January 10th, we'll be in Kairou's Auditorium doing the same event, the same thing. All that said, we're out there doing our thing. We're encouraging people to participate with us, but we also encourage very much so people to gather together, especially over the holidays. You have family, you have friends, you'll be seeing people, driving around. Take an hour, do the meeting in the box. We have printouts here in our office, or again, you can access it on the project website.
And what kind of questions are they?
So it asks again about the things that I mentioned before, the different elements of the plan. Housing, open space, transportation, etc. However, it does ask them in a much more conversational way. So some of the questions I have right here, it's ways to play and experience Gloucester. So it's a fairly open-ended question, but it's designed to elicit feedback. Everybody has an experience of that sort. And also, there's no wrong answer. So what do you do for fun in Gloucester? Do you do anything for fun in Gloucester? Or do you go outside of the city? And if so, that will show us either what's lacking, what we can add on, or expand upon things that people already truly enjoy.
So people could really sit around their dining room table together and say, let's do this survey now.
That's 100% what we're hoping for. It takes, it can take about an hour to do it, probably, and complete the whole thing. You could take as long as 2 hours if you really wanted to get in depth and, answer all the questions in the entire survey.
Mhm.
So I will say that we've had some groups that were very much into a certain topic, say open space. They're focusing on simply that question. You
Mhm.
don't have to do that. You can do the entirety of all questions. There's 7 of them. But that being said, we'll take any feedback. And if you just want to focus on open space for a full hour and a half, so be it.
Hmm. And are these anonymous? Or do people sign their names to it? Is that required? How does that go?
So we have a sign-in sheet at the beginning, like similar to if you went to another public meeting. You can put your name, email address if you want to sign up to be pinged in the future about future events. And then
Mhm.
really the more important thing is the neighborhood that you're coming from. So while any response will be anonymous, so no single response will be published and attributed to a person,
Mhm.
we're simply trying to figure out what pockets of the city are we reaching. And if there aren't any while we're going through the process, we know we need to double down and target on those neighborhoods.
Hmm. So talk a little bit just about why this is important that the community participates.
Yeah, so I think as I mentioned at the top, it's really the guiding policy document for the next decade. So anything and everything that's in the plan will have a series of goals associated with it and a series of implementation steps, with the hope being that at the end of this, the policy in the document doesn't just sit on the shelf. We're really hoping that anything that comes out of this, whether it's recommending, upgrades to different streets in the city, whether it's recommending more open space, less open space, more housing, more parking, whatever that may be, we can take those individualized implementation steps which will be detailed in a table, and actually put those into action. So it'll dictate spending, it'll dictate what regulatory updates needed or any policy drafting that needs to happen. So it's a
Mhm.
very important document, but it's only as good as the input that we get at this stage.
Right, right. Now, I know that, or I believe, I should say that, I believe that the mayor was really inspired to get on this comprehensive plan because of the issues behind the state mandate for the zoning around the MBTA. Is that right? Am I saying that right?
Yeah, the MBTA communities law, as it's commonly known.
Yeah. So that it has been really it's a provocative issue for so many towns, certainly Gloucester. So how can people sort of talk about that in this survey?
Yeah, so it's we do ask about housing in the survey. So obviously anything MBTA communities is mostly related to housing. So
Mhm.
the meeting in the box and the survey, they don't ask directly, your thoughts about changes to Chapter 40A, Section 3A, which is what the citation is. It's asking a broad question about housing. What do you feel housing needs to be in Gloucester? What do we have that's great? What do we need more of or less of, et cetera? Our hope is that all of the information gathered during this phase can inform a stronger and more solid push with an outside consultant starting in the new year. So this will be a separate but parallel track that we're going to go on for MBTA communities. So we're going to really hit zoning hard and housing in the new year, knowing that we have to be in compliance by December of 2024. But the hope is with all of the qualitative and quantitative work that this process has given us, we won't have to start from whole cloth. We can take the input gathered, take the feedback that we've received just in general on housing, and that will inform the zoning discussion starting in January.
Mm. So this is all about planning. There's nothing legislative about it. This would not inform any sort of like, I don't know, legislative policy around housing or something.
It doesn't mandate, there'll be no specific legislation that comes out of it, no language or wording that we could take from this plan and put right into effect, but it'll be a series of recommendation steps on what we need to do based on what we're hearing.
Mhm.
So we'll guide policy for sure.
Right, right. All right, so people can go to the website and that's where they can find where the next meetings will be, and they can also find the survey to do it in the privacy of their homes, right?
You got it right on the city's homepage, gloucester-ma.gov.
Okay, great. Well, while I have you, tell us about the next two phases.
So following this phase, we'll do a wrap up of this qualitative input. Our consultant team will analyze, synthesize this data, find commonalities. Then we'll move into phase 3, which is much more of a visioning and goal setting. So that will be a series of community outreach events gathering what the overarching vision of Gloucester could be for the next 10 years. That's much more broad. These questions right now are really more detailed tailored to their specific topics. But the visioning session is, what do you want the city as a whole to be? How does it present its public face? What does it mean to you? How does it make you feel to be a resident of Gloucester or a business owner? We'll put that into a vision for the community as a whole, and then start our goal setting process. Phase 4 will then begin the series of drafting implementation steps based on everything we've done for the past year. So that's where we'll be, with the hope of wrapping up right around in the December or January timeframe of next year.
Okay, so you're anticipating this whole process is a year long.
Yes.
Yeah, great. Well, thank you so much. Anything else you think that the public needs to know about the work you're doing?
No, just feel free to, as I said, download the meeting in the box, fill it out with your friends. It's a great time of year to get together, talk about your gripes, and talk about what you look hopeful for the next year.
Mark your words there. Talk about your gripes.
Hey, that's okay. We'll take any feedback.
Okay, great. All right. Well, thank you so much.
All right. Thanks, Heather.
Interested in a sponsorship? Email sponsor@1623studios.org to learn more.